Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Intan Nanzila. I'm from Siliwangi University, English Education Department, and I'm from class B, and my ID number is 18 21 22 039. So I would like to share my understanding about my proposal with the title is the correlation between vocabulary mastery and reading comprehension in descriptive text. So let's check it out. Alright, in the first slide, this is background, and I share three keywords on the slide. Okay, I will explain one by one. In this background, why I choose this topic, because for many years students from many places around the world learn English, since it is considered as international language. Learning English has become necessity for everyone who wants to engage in international interaction, such as for study abroad, for works, and so on. There are some skills that should be learned and practiced, such as reading, listening, speaking, and writing. One of the skills is reading. Reading is considered the most important foreign language skill, as stated by Harry Maddox on 1963, state that reading is the most important single skill in study. By reading, students or people get a lot of information, right? But the problem is the most of them are lazy and have difficulties reading a kind of book, especially in English. Besides that, vocabulary is one of the problems faced by students. When they have a lot of vocabulary, they can understand the English, especially in reading. Judging from those challenges, student needs a lot of vocabulary. A lot of words of English to master. As Nobel said, vocabulary is one of the most important skills in language. So, vocabulary is a very important factor in all aspects. Vocabulary is a very important language aspect to master. It is impossible to learn a language without vocabulary, right? That's why the researcher makes reading texts in which there are some interesting images. For example, in descriptive text. In descriptive text, the picture can explain something more interesting and easy to understand. The students are expected to be able to increase their ability, especially in vocabulary mastery and their reading comprehension in descriptive text. Next, we move to next slide is a research question. Is there correlation between student vocabulary mastery and reading comprehension? So let's see on the next slide. Okay. Next slide is about operational definition. There will be two variables in this research. There are independent variable and dependent variable. First, what is independent variable? So I will explain one by one. For the first, independent variable or X is a variable that are being employed in the research to detect their enacting on the dependent variable. And this research, the independent variable is vocabulary mastery. You should remember is independent variable or X is in my research proposal is vocabulary mastery. So vocabulary needs to be improved because it is the total number of words which make up a language, because without vocabulary there is no language can build. The second one is dependent variable or Y, or in bahasa is Y. What is dependent variable? Dependent variable is a quiet variable that based on the independent variable. Then, in this research, dependent variable is reading comprehension in descriptive text. According to Lin, state that reading comprehension refers to reading for meaning, understanding, and entertainment. So the researcher will improve students' reading comprehension by reading descriptive text. And then move to the aims of this research. I give the keywords is to predict. What it means. The goal of this research is to predict the correlation between student vocabulary mastery and the reading comprehension in descriptive text of 8th grade students of SMPN 1 Kadipaten Tasikmalaya in the academic year of 2020 and 2021. And the next slide is the use of this research. The researcher hope this research will help the teachers have been able to adapt to the learning system and to help students to improve their reading ability. Alright, the next slide is about literature review. First, general concept of vocabulary. Point A or point 1, definition of vocabulary. Priest claims that vocabulary means a list of words with their meanings, glossary, sum of words used in a language or particularly books or a branch of science. Charles has a different definition about vocabulary. He said that vocabulary is a stock or supply of words that a person uses or understands even if he doesn't use them in oral or written communication or in reading. From the statement above, the researcher concludes that vocabulary is a list or a series of words that is used to express the idea or in other meaning. It is used for general communication. The point 2 is about kinds of vocabulary. Highcraft quotes by H and Brown. There are state that there are two kinds of vocabulary, namely receptive vocabulary and productive vocabulary. So I will explain one by one. First, receptive vocabulary. What is it? Receptive vocabulary is words that the learners recognize and understand when they are used in the context, but which they cannot produce. It is vocabulary that the learners recognize when they see or meet in reading text, but do not use in speaking and writing. The second one is productive vocabulary. Productive vocabulary is the word which the learners understand, can pronounce correctly, and use constructively in speaking and writing. It is involved that what is needed for receptive vocabulary plus the ability to speak or write at the appropriate time. Therefore, productive vocabulary can be addressed as an active process because the learners can produce the words to express their thought to others. Alright, the last point is presenting new vocabulary. Different teachers have different ways to present new words, alright? Especially in descriptive text. Whatever methods are used, the following suggestion may help teacher. The first is prepare examples to show meaning. The second is ask student to tell the meaning first. The third is think about how to show the meaning words with related words such as synonym, antonym, and etc. The fourth is think about how to check student understanding. And the fifth is think about the context in real life where the word might be used. And the last is think about possible misunderstanding and confusing the student may have. Alright, still in literature review, there are some definition about reading comprehension, and descriptive text. So the first is reading. Reading is one important skill in learning a language and increase students' vocabulary. In order to develop reading skill, it is necessary to read many kinds of reading material. Students should not only develop their reading skill through formal education and assignment in various school textbook. It's make us boring, right? But they also should read fiction, free reading books, a newspaper, and magazine. I think it's make us fun and more curious about book in English. Next in comprehension. Comprehension, according to Rodel, S.Pd and Apriani, comprehension is a process in which a reader constructs meaning while or after interacting with text through the combination of prior knowledge and previous experience. Information in text, reader text in relationship to the text, and immediate and then remember or anticipate social interaction and communication. This definition above suggests that comprehension is achieved when readers successfully extract the useful knowledge from a text and construct it into a new understanding of their own. This will allow the readers to understand the meaning of the unknown words. And then the number 3 is reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is defined as the level of understanding of writing. Proficient reading depends on the ability to recognize words quickly and effortlessly. If word recognition is difficult, students use too much of their processing capacity to read individual words, which interferes with their ability to comprehend what is read. The last is descriptive text. According to Zumarkin, descriptive text is to describe something such as people, thing, and an animal. Descriptive text is very important for us when the student want to descriptive about something. In addition, Kant said that descriptive text is the description and identification of the structure text such as person and thing. Alright, we move to research method. This research and to appropriate research method uses correlational design in quantitative research because to measure the extent of the correlation coefficient. As stated by Creswell, state that correlation as an analytical examination to authorized design for two variables. Then this correlation design have a goal which to predict whether there is relationship or not in two variables. Alright, next is about population and sample. The first is population. The population is from all students in 8th grade of SMPN 1 Kadipaten in academic year of 2020 and 2021, which contain 30 people who were split into 3 classes. And then for the sample is from all students in 8th grade of SMPN 1 Kadipaten, Tasikmalaya in academic year of 2020 or 2021, which the total is 30 people, same with almost same with the population, but because they are still in junior high school, which will be very suitable if they increase their vocabulary by reading a simple descriptive text, which there are some interesting images. And the next slide is about time and place of this research. The researcher will conduct this research in 8th grade of SMPN 1 Kadipaten Tasikmalaya in academic year of 2020 or 2021. It is located at Jalan Raya Malangbong, Buniasi, Kecamatan Kadipaten, Kabupaten Tasikmalaya, Provinsi Jawa Barat. The researcher will hold this research for second semester students. Then for the data, the researcher will use a questionnaire to know student reading comprehension and the student score of the test to know student ability in vocabulary mastery. So the next slide is research procedure. The process of the procedure the first is determine the formulation of the problem, which is a question that will be searched by collecting that data. The second one is determine a suitable and relevant basis, so that this research is based on collecting students. The next is determine hypothesis or temporary answers from research. And the next is the hypothesis, which was only a temporary answer, must then seek the truth of the hypothesis by collecting data. And the next is, after the data is collected, the next step is to analyze data to provide a provisional hypothesis. And the next is, after the results of this research are explained, then the result or the conclusion can be read. And the last step is the researcher will make a report of this research. In collecting the data, the researcher will give the students with the following instrument. There are two instruments that I used. The first is questionnaire and the second is test. The questionnaire is arranged based on the indicator from reading comprehension, and the test will investigate the correlation between vocabulary mastery and reading comprehension. So the test consists of two parts. There are post-test and pre-test. And for the data analysis is the last slide. The researcher will use inferential analysis to check if there is any significant correlation between vocabulary mastery and reading comprehension in descriptive text. And next, the researcher will use SPSS application to check the data normal or not. And then the researcher will do technique whether or percent product moment if the data distribution is normal, and Spearman if the data distribution is not normal. It will be decided based on the normality test on the SPSS. Alright, that's all for my presentation about this research proposal. If you have a question for me, you can write on the comment box. And I'm sorry for the mistakes. Thanks for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.